Form Customizer can be accessed under Settings, Tables and Fields, and this is where you'll be able to modify and add a table or fields onto an existing table. Another very direct way and the most commonly used way of accessing Form Customizer is from the form that you want to make the change on itself. And to get there, you go to Advanced Options, and then edit this form using Form Customizer. The view will change to the Form Customizer view. If you're working on an edit form, such as this Edit Child form, at the very bottom on the left is a small link that says Edit Form, and that too will then take you to the Form Customizer view of the form. Now we're going to show you basics about how to add fields to the form, edit some of the field names, and change the positioning and sectioning of the forms. So we're going to start. This is a placement details form. We're going to add a field. When I add a field, I'm going to add a field at this point that does not already exist on the table. And so to do that, I'm going to click the Create New Placements field. So I'm actually adding a brand new field to SAM that never existed before. I'm going to call this Placement Strategy. This field is going to be a list field that's going to allow users to select how they think this placement is going to play out, what's going to happen at the end of the placement. So here I could add a hint, and that's going to help the user understand how best to enter this field. I could add a field setup memo that would allow administrators to understand more in depth about this field. If the field were used on a public form, I could rename it to something different, add a hint for the public form, and then I can choose whether or not this field is going to be required universally on all forms. Press save. At this point, SAM is requesting for me to select the field type. I'm going to make this field a drop-down list with a couple of different values. Because the list that I want doesn't exist, I'm going to create a new list. If it were a list that I wanted to reference like the state or a yes, no, unknown, I could actually select that from an existing list. Because I know the list that I want does not already exist, I'm going to create a list now, add the list name, press save, and there's no filter to be applied at this point. It's going to be a very small list. And at this point, the field has actually been added directly to the form. It's underneath the placement memo. SAM is going to automatically add it on the main portion of the form as the very last field. At this point, I can actually change where I have this field placed. And let's just say I want to put it in placement details. So I don't actually have list values for this. So I'm going to create them. I'm going to right click on the field name and open the link in a new tab. I'm taken to the field properties form. Under advanced options, I can edit the list for this field. I'm going to right click and open that. And now I can add items to my list. So I can add things like reunification, independent living, and I'm also going to add adoption. Now I'll go back to the form. Other things that we can do are edit the field names. I might change placement memo to just saying memo. Get back to my placement details form, and we can see that change has been made. We might edit section positions and move the placement entered information over to the right at the very bottom, just so it's not the most prominent thing that we see. I can edit the field positions and move placement strategy up to number 2 within the placement details section. I feel like at this point our form looks balanced. So let's actually see this form in action. We're going to look up a record. And now we'll view that placements details form. It's the only one that I've modified. So I'm going to get here and look at the placements details. And at this point now I can see changes. My placement strategy is here. I can add something. I can see that my placement entered is here, and my field name for the placement memo is actually just memo now. These are some of the basic things that we can change with Form Customizer.